Colin, it's been a tough week this week, going to Eastleigh on Saturday. I wouldn't say there's been soul searching going on, but it's been a tricky one, hasn't it? How have people around the place coped for you?
It has been tricky, but work goes on. Obviously, the main thing is that we do keep moving on and trying to progress, but the biggest thing is that we have to identify where we're making mistakes, and we have to address them. So it's not blind faith. We are working towards the same goals, but obviously we're looking at the problems and trying to find solutions.
Did it come as a surprise, Saturday's result for you? Because certainly for a good hour or so we looked like we were more or less there, but
there's a frailty in us that I've said at the time when we went 1-0 up, I'd take a draw because of the frailty in the team and the fact that the conditions again were in the host's favour second half, and they were with the long throws and the free kicks, and you can only keep asking your defenders to do what they do so often, and people say we've got a frailties to set pieces. I don't think that we have. What we have is we will get broken down because of the number of times people have set pieces against us. I think we're an unusual team in as much as we concede more throw-ins in the final third and more fouls in the final third, and invariably we're putting the same people under pressure. If we were sensible enough not to give the throw-ins away or not to concede the free kicks, I think that you'd find that we're actually quite good at defending free kicks, but sheer odds are against us being able to defend the quantity of set pieces we have to defend.
And as a case in point, I guess if you concede 2 long throw-ins over the course of a game, chances are this defensive unit can deal with 2, but not
22.
Not 22, yeah.
Which was Gateshead as well. They had the same. They were throwing the ball in from everywhere, and maybe we just look to go and sign Rory Delap, whatever he's doing now, and take him off his paper round, and he can come and throw the ball in the box for us. So, but we have to deal with it. But perhaps we have to stop conceding the throw-ins and the free kicks in the first place, and therefore we won't put ourselves under enormous pressure. We're not a team that concedes many goals in open play. If you look at across the whole of the season, we're not, but we are a team that concedes a lot of free kicks and throws, and we've got to put that right.
I can see, obviously, from being around you most days that it hurts you. Saturday hurt you, it hurt Dave, it hurt all of us. Can you see as well that how it hurts the supporters and how they're feeling after Saturday?
I very much understand the hurt the supporters feel, because they're in a position where they can't do a great deal about it but vent their frustration, and so I understand it. I absolutely understand it. They can. In this day and age, you've got the option and the ability to go on chat lines and forums and social media and vent your frustrations that way. But it's words, those words can't really affect what you're watching on a Saturday afternoon. The only people that can affect that are the people that work in the football club, and so I understand their frustrations entirely and actually agree with them, because we've got quite an intelligent fan base that understand their football, and the things that they're saying are very relevant, and therefore it's all right. It's pretty obvious, I think, to them. It should be obvious to us, and we should then be equipped to deal with it. And that's what we will be looking to do. I don't mind problems. I prefer solutions, and we've got to find solutions to the problems we're causing ourselves.
There was an air almost of resignation, I felt, about sort of surrounding the club after Saturday. Everyone was that sort of despondent, but it goes without saying that nobody here has chucked in the towel for this season.
We've not chucked in the towel. We've not chucked in the towel. We're absolutely now. Stourbridge was an absolute exclamation mark on the first half of our season, and now we're about to start the second half of our season. So we start again. We've played all the teams. We've played everybody once. We know what they're about. We know how to set up against them, and we've never been beaten heavily by anybody. In the league, we haven't, and so now we need to go and be able to compete and convert the close games into wins, and the games where we lost by the odd goal into draws. We've got to change our points return for the final 23 games of the season, and if we do, and if we're in a plus, we've got 14. If we're up, if we improve on that by 2 times, then I'll be happy. If we improve on it by 3 times, I'll be ecstatic, because that means we'll be staying in the division. But that's what we're looking to do, and we won't kid ourselves that we are doing things the right way, or we are doing enough, or working hard enough. And people say, oh, what are you going to do to put it right? We'll work hard. It should be a given in anybody's life that you work hard. You know, what we need to do is work smart, and we need to be brighter, and we need to understand where the mistakes have been made, and we need to put them right. And behind the scenes, we're trying to avoid the mistakes the club's made, and make sure that we've got a bright future, and make sure that we can survive. On the pitch, we've got to learn from the mistakes we've made, and we've got to be able to put them right.
I guess for you, it's a difficult sort of balancing act between making sure we can, if possible, retain our divisional status, but if worse comes to worse and that didn't happen, if we weren't able to, that doesn't damage us too much either. It's a tricky sort of...
It's a setback in a project that should be, I don't know how many years, 5 years, 10 years, but ultimately our ultimate goal is not to survive in the National League. It's just not. What's the point? You know, if you want to set a team up that just...
In the sense that you would rather do better than that.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. What's the point? If your goal at the start of every season is, well, we'll survive, and survival's all we need to do, then I'm not going to enjoy coming to work, you're not going to enjoy coming to work, no one's going to enjoy coming to work, because you don't have any ambition. Our ambition is to create an environment and a philosophy that everybody can identify that that's a Kidderminster Harriers team, that's a Kidderminster Harriers player, that's a Kidderminster Harriers style. And that's what we're about, and that's what we have to do, and we have to go and find and identify and work towards that philosophy, and that starts now. It absolutely starts now. And you know, if people are not going to work to that philosophy, then they're not going to be with us on the journey. Simple as. If they do, then they will get their rewards in enjoying their work and going to work with a smile on the face and enjoying what they do in whatever job they do in the club, in whatever job, because we can't carry any passengers, we can't have people who don't enjoy their work. And at the moment we've got to create, for the first team, we've got to create an environment where they enjoy their work, enjoy what they're doing, but they understand what they're being asked to do.
And is it important for you as well that, as difficult as it is, because they're obviously paying their money and it's been a very difficult 2015, obviously, that supporters recognise that your ambition and our ambition is ultimately for Kidderminster to be a Football League side rather than a Conference North?
I don't think anybody doubts our intentions, but everybody's got intentions. Whether they have the skill set to carry out those intentions is another matter. And you know, I happen to believe that we've got a group of people that have got a good understanding of the industry of football, and we're assembling better people to do so. And people say, well, that's great, but what about Saturday afternoon? But unless we get the first part right, there'll be no second part. So, you know, people need to be patient, but they also need to trust. But I'm not asking you to trust me forever, because if I don't produce, if I don't see what you're seeing on a Saturday afternoon, then I don't deserve to be in the position I'm in, irrespective of what finance I've put in or anything. If I don't see it and do something about it, if I don't see the problem and therefore I look for a solution, then I shouldn't be sat here telling people what we're going to do and what we're not going to do. You know, there's a million people out there who, you know, think they know what they're doing, but generally you'd have to argue that some of them don't. And I've been telling those people for years, so some of those people will be looking for me to fail because I've been a bit of a big mouth and, you know, I have a chip on my shoulder about the game of football, but it's the only industry I know. It's the only industry I've ever worked in. I'm not an unintelligent person, and if I've not learned from people's successes and failures, then I must have been asleep for 33 years. So I believe that I know where the problems lie. I believe that we've got good people to take care of those problems, and I believe that we will get it right. I don't know how quickly we can affect that, but rest assured we'll be doing it a lot quicker than most, because we won't rest on our laurels. We'll be doing everything we can to put this football club right.
And if ultimately supporters weren't proud to support Kidderminster on Saturday, as I'm sure you certainly were,
I wasn't.
It's a case of making sure that those supporters are in 12 months' time, or 6 months' time, or 2 months' time.
Absolutely. I mean, Saturday night I went for a drink with John Ford, and after the game, as their assistant manager, Gary's assistant manager. I'm known, or Gary and John Ford. They're great people, good people. You can't knock them the success that they've got. They've got a unity and they've got a way of working that is holding them in great stead, and I wish them every success. But I wasn't very comfortable going out in Starbridge. I wasn't being comfortable with people sort of laughing behind their hands at me because they think that I've made one of the biggest mistakes of my life. But it hurts. But we will be working to put it right. But if we don't have adversity, I don't think you can actually truly celebrate great success. And I think that at the minute that success looks a long way off. And we have to aim for small successes at the moment, and that's what we'll be looking to do, one at a time, one step at a time, within this business, one success at a time, one new deal at a time, one great opportunity at a time, one good avoidance of bad practice at a time, and that's all we can do. We do believe we know how to put it right, but I'm going to assure the supporters that we understand entirely where the problems are.
Let's look at football then, which I'm sure will please you at last.
Yeah.
Obviously, you made the conscious decision. It's important, certainly for this week, that the head coach can concentrate on being a head coach this week. That's why you're talking to me. But we go to Eastleigh on Saturday, and would you suggest that this run of games that we're now starting on it is, in some ways, a little bit easier to approach than the run we've just finished?
Confidence has been dented by Saturday, but then we shouldn't be feeling any pressure going to Eastleigh, where probably most people wouldn't have us down to get anything out of the game. So players should be able to relax without feeling that added pressure. And pressure does affect footballers at every level. So it's silly to think that it doesn't. It does. So the next 4 games, people are thinking, well, we're looking at 0 points. Pressure's off the lads, but we need to prepare properly, and we need to give it an absolute go, and use the fact that the pressure's off to express ourselves and to try and play and affect the game.
Do you look for performance levels in those 4 games, and if those performance levels are good enough, whether it's Cheltenham or whether it's Starbridge, you can invariably get results, can't you?
You can look at is performance levels. There are games where we've lost that I've been more comfortable with the shape of the team and the performance and the game understanding of the team compared to games that we may have drawn, or even one where I wasn't as comfortable with the shape of the team and the way that we played. It's got to be down to level of performance. If it's just down to results, then to all intents and purposes I think you don't have a head coach, you just have a committee that picks a team, and you throw a load of lads on the pitch and say go and play. People need to be worthy of the titles they've got, and if you're a head coach, your job's to affect the team, to teach the team, and to coach and develop the team. That's your role, and so that the responsibility doesn't come easy, but that's your role, and therefore you should be able to affect the team, and affecting the team to a level of performance that should win football matches. But in some cases there is an element of luck as well, and you don't win that game, but you look at it and you go, do you know what, everybody can look and say, oh, that was decent, we're on the right lines, we're not going to lose many games if we play like that. So level of performance is paramount.
And looking at the weekend specifically, Eastleigh, fantastic form for them in both league and cup, but as you've already mentioned, if that makes us on the outside no hopers, that can only suit us going there, can't it?
Absolutely. You've got to admire them for what they are and what they've done and where they've come from and what their ambitions are, and they're in a fortunate position they can go about it in a different way to us, but you need to be very careful if you're going to spend the kind of money that they are and acquire the kind of talent they are, that they keep going forward, because when results don't come, as we found out chasing the dream, it can hurt. So unless you've got Roman Abramovich or whoever behind it, so they're under their own pressure. They're creating their own pressure. They're expecting to be up there and challenging to go up this year, and that brings a pressure in itself. So we need to be comfortable and confident that we're not expected to get anything out of the game, but understand also that we could use the pressure that their players are under against them.